the grind. Now, this has always been a topic that, you know, has, been interesting to the Star Citizen community. But for a long time, we never really had anything to point at apart from the now slightly infamous statement of it should take about 60 hours to earn a Connie, which I'm sure is a statement that CIG profoundly regrets. But when we got Lorville and we got ship sales, that kind of came to the forefront. Well, actually, we got ship sales with Teach's shop a little bit before that, but then of course, you see the hammerhead on Lorville, and it's what 22 million, and people are looking at that and looking at the 1,000 or so credits on a good mission that they're earning, and they're thinking, "Holy shit, how long am I going to have to grind this?" Now, anybody who plays MMOs, any MMO, I mean, will know what a grind is, and will know, sometimes they're rewarding grinds, they're fun grinds. Activities that you're doing and you're earning your way to a goal, but you don't even notice it. It's just you're doing the thing that you want to do and you're having fun. And that is a good grind. That to me, in my mind, is a good grind. But that isn't something that solely rests on the shoulders of game developers. That's something that also rests on the shoulders of players as well. Because if you're doing an activity that you don't enjoy, just to get, unlock a skin or, open up a ship or something like that, whatever game you're playing, is it really worth your time? Why are you doing this thing that you don't enjoy? And a lot of times people kind of sit there and they look at game developers and they point their finger at them. They say, this, I don't enjoy this. And then they never really recognize that, yeah, you might not enjoy it, but there's a ton of other players that actually really enjoy this, who find this activity fun. And even though you don't find it all that rewarding or interesting, there are other players who do and who are really into that, And I think that that's kind of an area where there is a certain amount of player responsibility, but I think that developer responsibility is to offer a meaningful and rewarding path towards that goal, not just say, oh, complete 1,000 battlegrounds and win and you get this or you get that. That to me is just a bullshit system. A really good system rewards the player as they progress and makes that progression feel like something they want to do and not something that they're just kind of going like, oh, okay, just 8 more hours, or 12 or 20 or whatever, depending on how lofty the goal is. I think that for players who are interested in that type of activity, a developer has to be very sensitive to the fact that if it feels too punishing, if it feels too unrewarding, and if it becomes an activity that they don't enjoy as a consequence of trying to, fulfill that objective or to, work within the confines of that system, then I feel that it's the developer's responsibility to make changes, right? And to adjust accordingly. Now, of course, we've seen, some talk about adjusting the cost of ships to reflect what's available within the Stanton system. The Stanton system is supposed to be a relatively safe system, a little bit of the Wild West right now, obviously, but once it's in a much more finished and polished state, it is supposed to be a fairly safe and secure system. So earnings in this area may not be, what you want for the ship that you want to get. And you may have to move out into much more dangerous and frontier-like systems where, the danger is higher, but the rewards are also much higher as well. And striking that balance is going to be difficult, right? because a lot of players are going to talk about things subjectively. Like, this is my experience, and you can't really cater to every single player's point of view. What you have to do is you have to find a comfortable medium in between that empowers players to do what they have to do, but at the same time doesn't simply hand them things that otherwise should be gated behind a certain amount of effort and a certain amount of work. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why you pursue prestige items in games, is because it serves as kind of like a beacon or a trophy or something that says you did the work, you put in the effort. Now you might say, "Oh, Minion, be careful, because now you're treading on some interesting ground, because aren't we able to just go out and buy a ship? Aren't we, you showed the Hammerhead. You didn't really grind to the Hammerhead. You just simply bought the Hammerhead." True. But that ignores an interesting aspect of the game that only now we are just beginning to get the hints of, and that's the equipment that defines a ship. I mean, certainly if you've played any MMO, it could be EVE Online, it could be World of Warcraft, it could be anything. You get to a certain level where you're able to equip, to fly a ship, to use a set of armor, blah 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 blah. You get to max level, whatever it is in your game, and you go, okay, well, now I'm totally geared, right? Now I've kind of gotten to this place. But are you? Because if you've ever played any of those games and you've gone to the point where you've ground out the super high-end equipment, the super high-end armor, weapons, shields, power core, whatever, in whatever game that you're playing, when you get that end-tier raid gear, that sort of stuff, and you compare that to when you just opened that door, when you just got to max level, when you just got your training levels, when you got to Cruiser 5 and you learned, Heavy Assault Cruiser 1 in EVE Online or something like that, when you compare when you fully fleshed it out, when you went out and you earned those things and you sought those rewards, and then you fully equipped that character or that ship or whatever, you'll notice that the difference is night and day between just a baseline version of that thing and the fully equipped, fully geared out version of that thing. The ship that's on the bleeding edge, the character that's on the bleeding edge, who's got that full mythic tier gear, that sort of thing. It's night and day, and that's very much how I view the ships in Star Citizen. Is, a lot of people look at the ship and they go, well, that's the end point. I'm there now. I've got my Orion. I'm going to be the best miner in the universe. You're going to be a lot, you're going to be able to work a lot heavier. You're going to earn a lot more rewards than, say, someone who owns a prospector. But how much further can you take that ship? And I think that that's kind of where the responsibility kind of shifts over to the developers, because if you make an incremental system where even if you have a prospector, oh, here's mining laser 1A, here's mining laser 2F, here's mining laser 3B, and you can progress up through that system, and maybe you can customize a mining laser for platinum or iridium or whatever. And it extracts that mineral so much more quickly, or it's so much more efficient, that even though you are still on your way to an Orion, as you're picking up these pieces, as you're getting, much more efficient equipment, that process accelerates visibly and perceptibly for you as you're going towards that. It makes, the journey towards that thing much more fun. And certainly if you, let's say, have a Hammerhead and you have that baseline version of the Hammerhead, it's pretty good at the missions that we have available now, but what happens when you get upgraded shields and upgraded armor, and how far can you take that, and the much more difficult content that's going to give you access to? How much more are you going to enjoy that, And I feel that, if you look at just the ship as the end goal, then yeah, I mean, it can look like an insurmountable grind, but if you realize that the ship that you have is going to have tiers of equipment upgrades, and if the developers balance it out well and flesh out that system, very well with subcomponents and components, that journey will not be as grindy as you're afraid that it's going to be, and it's going to be a lot more enjoyable, and it's going to be fun and rewarding. And so you may not notice that there's a grind at all in earning your way towards what you want, as long as certain character power upgrades exist along the way to give you that sense of progression, to give you that sense of acceleration, of earned rewards along the way, and not just hiding a goal behind just like climb Mount Everest and you get the next ship. No. And I think that if you realize that there's going to be tiers that you're going to progress through, and things that are going to make the experience more rewarding, more fun, more interesting as you go along. I think that if you have a fully fleshed out system like that, then at the best of times, there is no grind. You don't even notice it. It's just the progression towards that goal is just, it becomes not so much the goal, but just the end result of the fun that you were already having. And I think that that is when game design has really kind of hit the mark, and it provides a system that doesn't feel that like it discourages the player, but encourages the player to play more. But that's just my point of view. Anyways, that's the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.